Why Henry VIII married 6 times. Henry VIII didn't set out to become history's most infamous husband. When he became King of England in 1509, he was young, athletic, charming, and deeply Catholic. No one, including Henry himself, could have imagined that his personal desire for a male heir would reshape religion, destroy lives, and permanently alter English history. Yet that single obsession explains why Henry VIII married 6 times, leaving behind a trail of broken alliances, executions, and revolution. A king obsessed with a son. In 16th century Europe, dynasties survived through male heirs. England had recently endured the Wars of the Roses, a brutal civil conflict caused by disputed succession. Henry was determined that the Tudor dynasty would not collapse the same way. A daughter, in his mind, was a political risk. A son was security. His tragedy was simple but devastating. His wives kept giving him daughters, or no children at all. Wife 1, Catherine of Aragon, duty over desire. Henry's first wife, Catherine, was the widow of his older brother, Arthur. Their marriage began as a political alliance with Spain and lasted over 20 years. Catherine gave birth many times, but only one child survived, a daughter, Mary. As Catherine aged and failed to produce a son, Henry became convinced that God was punishing him for marrying his brother's widow. In reality, the marriage had simply run out of hope, but the Catholic Church refused Henry a divorce. This refusal planted the seed of rebellion. Henry didn't just want another wife, he wanted control. The break with Rome. When the Pope said no, Henry did the unthinkable. He broke England away from the Catholic Church, declared himself supreme head of the Church of England, and seized church lands and wealth. This was not just a marital decision, it was a religious revolution born from a king's bedroom problem. With Rome out of the way, Henry could finally remarry. Wife 2, Anne of Cleves. Politics and paranoia. Anne of Cleves was everything Catherine was not. Young, sharp-tongued, ambitious, and flirtatiously defiant. Henry was obsessed with her. He changed the religious structure of an entire country to marry her. Anne gave Henry what he feared most, another daughter, Elizabeth. Without a son, his love turned to suspicion. Anne's political enemies moved in, accusing her of adultery and treason. In 1536, Anne Boleyn was beheaded. Henry watched emotionlessly as the woman he once adored lost her head, literally. Wife 3, Jane Seymour, the one who succeeded. Jane Seymour was quiet, obedient, and traditional, everything Henry believed a queen should be. In 1537, she gave birth to a son, Edward. Henry finally had his heir. Jane died days later from childbirth complications. Ironically, she was the only wife Henry truly mourned. She was also the only one buried beside him. But even with a son, Henry remarried because kings did not rule alone. Wife 4, Anne of Cleves, the political disaster. Anne of Cleves was chosen to secure a Protestant alliance with German states. Henry agreed based on a flattering portrait. When Anne arrived, Henry was furious. He found her unattractive and felt deceived. The marriage was never consummated and quickly annulled. Anne wisely cooperated, earning wealth, status, and survival. She became known as the king's beloved sister. Henry escaped this marriage with his head and hers intact. Wife 5, Catherine Howard, youth and betrayal. Catherine Howard was a teenage cousin of Anne Boleyn. Henry, now obese and aging, was infatuated. Catherine made him feel young again. But Catherine had lovers before and possibly during the marriage. When evidence emerged, Henry felt humiliated and betrayed. In 1542, Catherine Howard was executed, reportedly crying out Henry's name on the scaffold. Another marriage ended in blood. Wife 6, Catherine Parr, survival through intelligence. Catherine Parr was educated, religiously moderate, and politically careful. She acted more as a nurse than a lover, caring for Henry in his final years as his health collapsed. She narrowly escaped execution after being accused of heresy. Only her intelligence and ability to flatter Henry's ego saved her life. When Henry VIII died in 1447, Catherine Parr was the only wife to survive him. The real reason behind 6 marriages. Henry VIII didn't marry 6 times because he was simply cruel or lustful. He married 6 times because he was obsessed with producing a male heir. He believed God controlled fertility and punishment. He had absolute power and used it. He confused personal desire with divine destiny. Ironically, his greatest legacy came not from his long-awaited son, Edward, who died young, but from the daughters he once feared. Mary I and Elizabeth I would both rule England, with Elizabeth becoming one of the greatest monarchs in history. Henry VIII tried to control fate through marriage. Instead, history judged him by the wives he destroyed and the daughter he underestimated.